All right. Good evening. We are going to watercolor this little girl here. Her name's going to be Coral or Corlinda or something like that. I don't know. We'll figure that out as we go along. And I was going to show you the pours from the other day. So the first one is here's the green. It kept its cells, but I will say they lost their definition. I know that the pour medium was too runny. So I did add 2 bottles of Elmer's glue to it. So I'm going to go buy canvases tomorrow, I think. I am going to try this out with a little bit thicker. Um, I also thought if I left the lid open that some of the water would evaporate. Oh, okay, Shauna, thanks. I have to mail I'll put those in an envelope. Private message me your address to make sure I have the right address, Shauna. Okay? On Twitter, just give me a direct message so I make sure I have the right address, just to double check. And that way, tomorrow when I go mail Violet to Jennifer, I can mail the turtles to you because I have them. I found them. So I haven't decided what I want to put on this. I had a couple thoughts. I don't want to cover up too much of the pour. I thought about, Bob and I talked about a flower with a butterfly or just a butterfly. We also thought about, or I thought about a frog. Because to me, it almost reminds me of a lily pad. So, what do we think? Flower is 1, butterfly is 2, 3 would be a combination of a flower with a butterfly, 4 would be a frog. I'm leaning towards a butterfly somehow. I just don't know if it needs, like, I was thinking like a paper pieced monarch butterfly, but maybe a flower and a little butterfly or just a big butterfly. But I was leaning towards like a flower and then a monarch butterfly. But then my other thought was a frog, like a colorful frog, like a rainforest, right? Not a green frog, but a colorful one. So I haven't made up my mind with that one. Um, then this one is the one we did with the negative. And I know one of the things I want to do, to me, this kind of looks like a flower. So I think I want to come in with um, and I have an orange and a magenta and a purple and a heavy body acrylic. I think I want to come in and put some acrylic paint and let it dry. That gives you kind of a perception of petals more and texture. Now I could put a butterfly on this one over to the side since it kind of looks like a flower. But what I did when I was off and I was messing with it, I took first of all I put some alcohol to see if it would bleed, and I dripped some of the drips in here because it had some of this color under the white that was discolored I didn't like. But I took and pulled out some of the wet paint. So I think it kind of looks like a flower. And it's not cleaned. A squish bug? Is that what you're saying? So I was thinking if I made this look more like a flower, then I could put like a small butterfly or something. And again, you have to remember the colors are dull because it hasn't been cleaned. So that was my thought, was to come in with some of the orange and use my palette knife and have it up and with the magenta with these colors, the orange and the magenta and the purple, and have it come up, and then maybe even put some like lines, like some yellow stamens, so that it almost looked like a tiger lily, but you would still see some of this poor background. And then maybe a small butterfly, maybe not a butterfly at all, maybe put a leaf down here. But this one is done, and this is exactly what I wanted to do with this one. So what I did was I took my TCU stencil and I put it down with some painter's tape so it would kind of stay down. And I put some stickers over here, and then I put sponge black over everything. Then I took that off and let it dry. And then I came back around with the white paint pen and added the details. This one will sell here because TCU's the college that's here in Fort Worth. And I'm thinking I'm going to do some like this for A&M, Longhorns, Baylor, and Texas Tech, which are all right around here. They're all, and I thought that those would probably sell. And you can still see the pour underneath it, especially if I can get better. And this one did the same thing. It had cells, but they kind of fell apart. The paint was too thin. I know the paint. Not the paint was too thin. The pour medium recipe that I followed was too thin for that paint. That's because I was just using the fluid acrylics. I wasn't using a heavy body. And so there's this one with the map. This one turned out the best as far as the cells kept their shape more consistently. And I found a real cool picture, a vintage photo of the Galveston Lighthouse. And originally the Galveston Lighthouse was black and white, and it has like a little white house that's next to it. So I'm going to put those right here. They'll cover up some of the pour, but you can see here's Galveston right here. It is the coastline. I mean, the lighthouse is actually right here. But the lighthouse now is like a rusty brown red color. But when it was, this is what it originally was. So I'm going to go with the vintage. Because if I just put the red, I think it's not enough contrast. But I think what I'll do is I'll do it out of the map paper again. So, but this one turned out a whole lot better as far as the cells kept their definition more, but there's still a lot of, but I think this looks like the foam on the water. So I think this one will be cool when it's done. The skins dried, but I haven't done anything with them. I don't know what I'm going to do with this one. I tried to pull them up. They're really hard to pull up from the acetate. But I know I'm supposed to put a coat of like gel medium on top of it everywhere. And I'm hoping that will give me more strength to like peel it without destroying it. But what I plan on doing with this is on my dresser, I have wooden knobs that are domed. And I'm going to take pieces of it and stretch and adhere this to the knobs of my black dresser. So that's what I'm going to use these two for. And this one, who knows? What I saw a lady on one of the groups who had, and I watched her stream on Twitch, and she was making brooches and jewelry. So that was the thought with the skins. I will say that I may do them again and use a page protector, because I'm not sure that the acetate isn't too thin. It might come off, because before I've always used, when I've done the acrylic skins, I may do what I've done in the past, and I didn't prep, is put the gel medium down, let it dry, do the pour with the swipe, let it dry, put another layer of gel medium so that it's thicker, and see how, I may have to play with that a little bit. I'm not sure I want the purple. I know I want brown and teal, so I may go lime green and teal and cream and brown for the color, so I'm not sure those swipe colors. But I might go ahead and get some. They were wooden discs that were about this round, and they're domed, and she painted them either white, black, or left them natural, and she put the skins on them, and then she finished them off with, like not a resin, but a high gloss, and then she's turning them into necklaces and brooches, and that would be jewelry that would sell well in the booth. So that was the thought with that, but I haven't seen what she's doing with the wooden domes. She streamed how she made the skins. She streamed how she put them on the wooden domes, but she hasn't shown how she's taken that wooden dome and finishing it into jewelry. It might be neat for coasters too. And the other thing, I got the idea from Helena, our Virginia, that I'm going to do is I ordered some coasters. Yeah, that's a good idea, Eileen, a plastic plate. But so we're going to watercolor this little girl. And I think I'll start with the lime green and the teal. It's a peacock green is what it's called. Now where's Jean? Because we're watercoloring. And then I'm going to use a little raw umber. And maybe put some yellow down here. And the coral color I'm getting is a vermilion, probably with a little bit of orange mixed in. All right. I'm thinking keep this raw umber. I'm going to start with some yellow, mainly because I want this yellow to go out in just a minute, so it'll give me yeah, that's what I wanted. I wanted some. I want some of that yellow here and there. to glow kind of when we put the coral in. That gives us some of the yellow that I wanted. All right, we'll let that dry. All right, now I'm going to take some of that lime and I'm going to add a little bit of the yellow because I want it to be more limey. I don't like the green on the pink. I hope the teal. Might have to put the brown on the pink. Okay, and I think I'll come in down here. Let that kind of dry there. She can come in tonight.
Oh, Mom said you can come in. You want to go in?
She can't get up, but she can come in. We're not pouring, so she can come in. Yeah, Tay, I know. Yeah, can you come up and get on the side? Yeah, can you come up and get over here? Tay had to come in. Hey, Jean. Oh, I'm getting green out here. I don't want green out here. But I do like this heavier in here. Come up here, Tay. All right, I'm going to dry this real quick. Trying to get those yellows to dry for me. Because I'm going to put coral, Jean. And that green would make it brown. There'll be green on him. There'll be more green in a minute. And I said him, but it's really a her. Okay. Let me get Tay-Tay settled, if she will. Lay down right there. Okay. Yeah, we're aware you're here. Now, I am going to put this heavier green right in here again. And add just a little bit of water. I don't want it to move too much. Okay. Okay. Your tail is... Okay, let's add some of the... Let's see how we like the... It is really hard to paint when you're elbowing my left arm. Sorry, guys. That's too dark. Or darker than I want. You may have to leave, Mama. Like, seriously, you may have to leave. Because you're getting green where it doesn't belong, Magoo. Well, it's just going to have some green under some of the coral. It's going to have a little bit over there. It's going to have some over here. Okay. Yeah, it doesn't work when you have a plan and Tay-Tay ruins your plan. Make that line not quite as prominent. Okay, I kind of like that. Okay, let's add some turquoise down in here. Okay. Hi, Ange. Hi, Shells. I did see somebody. Shells is here, right? Hi, CB. CB, I showed him the pores. I'll show them to you again in just a minute, okay? All right, and I think I want some cream. I want some turquoise in here, but okay. want to some of that. Get rid of some of that excess water. Come back in with some lighter green. Put some of that yellow back in here and there, real bright. Let them sort of do their thing. Okay, let's try some raw umber. I think I'm going to switch to another paper towel. It's funny, you wouldn't think it would, but it does. It does leave a imprint. Puddle some of that turquoise back in here. Okay. All right, let's try some of the browns. This might be more for the markers. some of that. I think I'll put some of this brown. It's not quite a pure. It's got a little red that's darkened it. I said I think this might be more for the markers. Oh! Tay-Tay, she's nutso. She's knocking chairs over. She lost her mind. Tay-Tay's been kicked out. Bye, May. Thanks for stopping by. An hour, Ange? No. Haven't been on an hour. Okay, let's move this now that she's out of my way. Right, so I'm going to switch to the watercolor markers. Right. Deep brown, dark brown, mustard. I'm not sure about mustard. Mid brown, green gray. I know I don't want. Natural gray, no. We need a turquoise. Marine green is usually the one I use a lot of time. And Persian green. And then we need something that's kind of a lime green. Light green. And May green. I don't think I'll need any yellow. A light brown. That gives me some choices. Hi, Deb. Alright, so I want to start with the that barely makes any dent. I think I'll use it on the nose. This is the light brown. I think I'll use it all the way on the nose and then pull back. So the light brown it matched the paper too much. So let's try the mid brown. It's a little bit of a contrast. All right, let's take the brush. That is like a pukey green brown. Okay, let's go to dark brown next. It needs that brown in there. want it to be darker right in here though. And I'm gonna try to soften that a little. Okay, one of the things I had to do is like my brush was a little wet. So with barely a wet brush, I can kind of soften that. And then I'll just come in and try to add some fullness. But leave some of the light of that paper. Let me zoom the camera in while I'm thinking about it. She called you lazy, didn't she, Jean? A lazy bassoon, I think were her words. Okay. And this is deep brown. Let's kind of do the same thing up here. Let's just come up. And sort of soften it with the brush. I'm going to turn it here. I want to get on this edge of the paper here. Okay, now I'm going to do the same thing. And soften that. It's a little easier to. Okay. I actually think this other brown is darker. Okay. I think that's good. I like this turquoise up the edge of this paper. And I'm going to I got some over here I want to take out or lighten. And then I think kind of put a brown, just a hard edge on the, like darken the edge of him. Okay. Get the brown off there. I'm going to lighten that right here. All right, let's try some of the turquoise. I'm going to bring some of that up that ear. Down this side, defining that. All right, and then this needs to be softened right in here. Get a little bit of that tube. Okay. I just want to darken this in here. I'm overworking the paper a little bit right in here. It's starting to peel, so I may need to dry it. Yeah. I'm trying to soften a couple of these places. Okay. Let's go with some lime green up here. Get that turquoise out of that brush. Okay. And let's darken it right in here. put, I want some yellow back in here. Right, we'll let that dry and we'll come back to it. I think this needs some defining. Okay, now we need some more yellow. In here. I'll brighten that yellow. Keep that bright. And I think I'm going to put some more of the yellow in here. Now, it only goes in certain places because there's white paint, which we'll deal with in a few minutes. I like that. I'm going to make those white shapes into something, but I'm not sure what color yet. Maybe a pink. I'm almost thinking just a shot of orange or vermilion. That might be a place for the markers too. Let's try that. Let's try to find a color that's kind of a coral. Okay, there's a red. This says brown. Let's try the red and the brown. And then go over it with a brush. I need too much water. This color does better. So I'm going to put a little of this color everywhere and then come back and darken it. Okay. Let's take a real dry brush and just soften the edges of those. All right, let's take that same color, maybe up to the nose. And then I'm going to take some brown down at this bottom part. Okay. Happy with the nose. Hi, Karen. Okay, let's take this really light brown and do the eyes. And we're going to take the darker brown and just darken them on the edge. Let that dry. Soften that. Alright, and then I'm going to take a wet baby wipe and just lift back in that a little highlight area back to that original paper. Okay. Okay, and then yeah, he's pretty greenlicious, isn't he, Eileen? Let's see if this is dry enough. Just make that heavier green. And I think I need more of the marine green in here. And just sort of soften that so there's no line. And then I definitely want to bring in the face right in here. Now that that's not super wet, and just kind of feather that out. And I think I'm going to even make it dark right in there. Let it pull up. I want to soften that again, so it's not a, it's more gradual. Let's see. Hi, Judy. Okay. I think he's pretty good. Now let's get rid of all the markers. I'm going to go and take a black paint pen. Get the correct one. I guess I ought to put the old one away. Put the eye, the pupil in there. Let that dry. I'm going to come in and add that dark right in here. And then kind of lock that back. Just to let that dry. All right, I think we're ready for the coral. Add some. I think I might use the round brush to get in here. All right. I'm going to do the same thing kind of over here. Let it wick up. Let that come in. I mean, it's going to all be coral in the end. Okay, let's. Put those in the water. Let's see. I think I'll take a clean paper towel. Alright, and then I'm going to come back in with the round. Darken areas. And kind of get a more natural variation. That's yellow I'm adding in. Kind of like that mottled effect. Yeah, I want the background pretty vibrant. In fact, I think I'm going to stick this coral color. I want some of that in here. Because that went too pink. It wasn't supposed to be pink. Get a smaller brush. Okay, let's add some. I'm going to flip this around. Okay, let's puddle some brighter. Let that do its thing. really like the organic motion you get when you use the spray bottle. Because I get a more natural pattern. Get rid of some of the excess there. I'll let that pure pigment. Some of this won't even be in the mat, so. All right, now let's go to the yellow again. Get some of the yellow. And let it mix in areas and brighten. Okay. Okay. Getting a funky color down here off this. I need to get rid of. That's better. Needs to be that bright red around the where it's darker. Where that turquoise was. All right, I think we're ready to put the paint up. And I'm gonna give him a dry. I don't want to turn him around yet. No, he doesn't have a mustache, CB. He just has a really brown bottom of his face. Maybe I need to darken that in a minute. Get the background dry. And I am going to add some magicals, I think, into a little bit here and there, but I'm not sure. Okay. This real quick. Some of that paper towel. Soak up. Okay. What I need to do is make this darker. Need cleaner. The water's not clean enough. Oh, let's try a couple things I want to try, I think. I don't know that I like the yellow in here. Okay, that showed that pattern up better. I want to take the green out of here altogether. I'm even adding a little violet to this brown to darken it. Okay. And then I think I'm going to take and try what Jean tried the other day is, let's try a little white. Hot Mama? I thought we might go with the obvious coral. Trying to get, there we go. So it's not a polluted. Well, it's still a little polluted. Ooh, I like that. Peach. Peach or peaches. Peaches might be a good one, Jean. I like how that light brown did with the white and it kind of bled. Okay, let's try that again. Should probably put the lid on that marker. I'm going to hit it with a little more white. A little bit more brown in the middle here. Okay. Okay, now take some brown and try to flick some brown down into that white is what I'm. I like that. I may even add a little up here. Just a little bit here and there. Kind of like it how it's almost works like a highlight almost. Okay. I think we're done with the watercolor. Lettuce stuck in his mouth. Maybe we need to take and make that more of a darker. Alright. Let's need to put this brown back in here. Alright, let's put a little highlight. And the eyes. Okay, let's get the pins. 3 to 5 to 8. One. Okay, so I'm going to start with almost like eyeliner. Gives me some guidelines there. Alright, and I think I'm going to start with the 5. Okay. Let's come in. Okay. Let's need to be longer. Now I'm going to switch to the number 3 so I can get the more delicate lashes. Get some of that wavy or wispy kind of. Okay, I think the eyelashes are good. It's a her. Carrots. That's good. Looks like it has carrots on it, doesn't it? Okay, I'm going to go back to the number 5. Okay, then let's take the smaller pen. Get that wave kind of going. To be heavier in a few places. Okay. So let's get a mat. let's make sure that get the mat kind of where we want it. Get some tape. Name her sativas, the scientific name for carrots. But would anybody but you and us know that, Eileen? What are carrots in French? Maybe we can, maybe it's close but kind of exotic, or the word coral spelled in another language. Oreo. No, let's try carrots in French. What if we call her carrots, but we spell it the French way? Carottes. And call her yeah, let's put it carrots, but in French. Because people will still recognize it as carrots, but it'll be a little bit more exotic. All right, so let me sign this side. And should we say Mademoiselle Carrots? I'm just going to put carrots. I wish there was a little over the E or something. Okay, that looks. Madame Carrots would mean she's married, but that's fine. Right, it says Madame Carrots. Madame is kind of up in her whiskers. Harriet, that would be cute. Okay, so let's put this stuff up. Get rid of all the rags. Gotta close my baby wipes because I'm real bad about forgetting, and then I have half a bag that's dry. she turned out cute. Yeah, she's still young at heart. All right, so you want to, is CB still here? I'll show her the pores. All right, here's the green one, CB. Let me zoom in. Actually, I'm going to stop the recording real quick. Well, I'll do this and then stop the recording. So here's the green one. The cells did sort of fall apart. I know the paint with the pour medium that I had and the fluid acrylics, it was too thin. So I have thickened up the pour medium. And I'm also going to try, I'm going to try this too, CB. I'm going to try just straight pour medium with just a drop or two of the fluid acrylics. So we're going to do that this week. I'm going to go to the art store tomorrow, I think. I have a Hobby Lobby card. So I'm going to try this just like this with silicone, pour medium. I'm out of Floetrol. And then the other thing we'll do is I did thicken up the recipe. I added 2 bottles of glue, so this is a lot thicker. I may even leave it open tonight so that some of this water can evaporate in here. Yeah, it was too thin. I didn't use, if I had used tube acrylics, it probably would have been okay. But I was using the fluid acrylic, so there really wasn't any body to the paint. So what I've decided on this one is like a flower with a butterfly, like a monarch butterfly, and a flower, or a frog. That was the 2 things we were between. A butterfly on a flower, like a bright colored flower with a butterfly in paper, or a frog. And so what I may do is make them both separately on paper, and then we can audition them. Might not put it directly, but do the collage on paper and then cut it out, and we can decide which one we like. This one I played with a little more. I put some more drips on it and I pulled it out. And I want to take this heavy body and I want to come in with my palette knife. And my goal is, I'm just going to do a bead of orange. My goal is to add in some more purposeful lines and let it dry. In the acrylics. And it would have that texture, like let it dry up. In fact, let's go ahead and just do it. Yeah, the monarch butterfly and the orange, the bright oranges, I think would pop on that green. I'm not sure I want to put any purple. But that was kind of my idea, is to come in and add with the palette knife. Let that dry, and then maybe even come in and add some more detail after this is dry with a brush, and maybe even some stamens and yellow dots. But that was the goal. And then I'll let that dry, and then I'll come back in and add some more details with a brush. But that'll give it texture when it dries. So we'll let that dry for several days. Wipe up that paint so I don't get paint on anything. Okay. Then this one, the cells held. But remember, before I mixed this, I added tube acrylics to the mixture, so it thickened it up. And so notice most those cells stayed. But what I am going to do, I found the Galveston Lighthouse. Just a second. The Galveston Lighthouse originally was black and white, and it has a house. So what I'm going to do is do the map and do the lighthouse with the house right in here, and let this part of the map show. Galveston's up here, and then Corpus and Rock, and then Padre Island. I like this water-like movement, and the black and white will pop on here. And because of the white, you'll get some purples in it. Because there's this shadow on this side here, they'll have the grays and the purples, which will pick up the purples in here. Currently, it's kind of a reddish-orange color, but I'm going to do the vintage. And the piece de resistance, the one that is done, is this one. So what I did is I took my TCU stencil, my Horned Frog stencil, my mascot stencil, and I took double stick tape and I laid that down on the pour after I cleaned it. And then I took a sponge and black paint and I put stickers down here. And then I put the black all over everything, so it's black everywhere. Then I came back after that was done with the white paint marker and added the stitch lines and the rest of the details on the mascot. And then I sprayed it with Americana triple thick. So it's got a real, and these cells did the same thing. They kind of fell apart because the paint was too thin. But you can still see some of the best parts in this pour under him. And you know their colors are purple and white. It's not really green, but it gives that TCU feel.